Hello and welcome to the podcast once again. We're sadly missing Mike this week, but joined by my good friend Dominic to talk about females and feminists attacking the male um, biological clock and seeing what kind of terms are coming up with and how they're attacking us men with our fertility rates and stuff like that. So Dominic, you had an interesting take on this. You want to go ahead and give your opinion on it?
Well, the first thing is that the male biological clock term is a myth in the first place, right?
Yes.
Like it's a complete mythology. Like when it comes to the quality of sperm, like this is one of the studies, right? Like you have the quality of our sperm has declined quite severely since the 1950s, right? And this is quite documented.
To
That's more
start,
for testosterone.
let's start from the start. So, as male, we become adolescents at what 12, 13. So from that point, we can produce sperm, yeah, and that carries on
I
all the
think
way through
most
our
people
life.
know this much. Like
Yeah, yeah, no, absolutely.
it's not
But
a show for children.
just to give a kind of outline of it, I guess. But for
Yeah.
me, my understanding of it is we start from that age. We can continue that all the way up to, our death, essentially. But it will, by age 35 or age 40, from what I've seen, it maybe will take a small dip, but we're still fertile. Yeah.
It
Um,
stays fertile
yeah.
permanently.
So yeah. So, in what way is women attacking this, or feminists, not women in particular, but feminists?
Woke ideology. Like,
What idea?
here's the thing: like, men have been attacked for like what decades now, so they're trying to catch for straws now, right? If you think
Right.
about it, like the first studies that these are normal studies, right? It's about testosterone quality and all of these things since the
Mhm.
1950s. This has declined.
Yeah.
This has
Well,
been a
do you think that's declined because of our diets as well?
yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Like if you think about the average British lifestyle, I imagine
Cheeseburgers.
alcohol. No, that's America.
No,
Alcohol,
it's
beans on
Britain.
toast.
Believe me, I'm partial to a
I
few
know, but
cheeseburgers myself.
if we're
So,
talking stereotypes, then that's America.
right, pizza,
Because the British one is
fish and
it's
chips.
visitors, but it's just like you're fat, but also you have some severe issues with your blood and cholesterol levels, right?
Yeah. Well, diabetes is on the rise now because
That
of
too. Yeah.
obviously insulin resistance, and it's because of mega processed food and stuff like that. And I dare say that that's going to be having an impact on, our sperm count, our testosterone levels and stuff like that as well. Because it's all a fine balancing act, right? If your insulin's out of sync, then other body hormones are going to be out of sync.
I actually don't know this.
Well,
Like
it's for
insulin, like yeah,
diabetes,
definitely.
yeah,
Like
it kind of
it's
knocks
sugar
everything off.
levels and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
But when it
it's a
comes
hormone.
to average health, like it's also the food that we have. Like if you imagine the food that we used to have, it's just mostly things in cans, right? Like canned goods. That was one
Yeah,
of the most common foods way back in the day, and
yeah,
this was just fresh food put into a can, right?
yeah. Well,
Nowadays, we put so much junk into our food.
if you think about gatherers, right? They used to hunt animals, you know, cook it there
But
and then, kind of thing, over the fire.
we
So
haven't
it
been
was
doing
good
that
quality meat.
for ages, man.
Yeah,
What are you
I
talking
know,
about?
but I'm getting to the point, like, obviously that was the start of it. Then, as our diets, as we became more industrialized, that kind of took out of our hands. And then the industry obviously wanted to make food faster. So how they would do that was they would process it and make it, you know, obviously quicker to make. So it kind of started becoming less fresh meat and more processed meat. They wanted to make it last longer, so they started adding things to it like wheat flour and stuff like that to make it last longer, to make it bulkier as well for consumption. And then sugar as well, that is a preservative in a sense, so that kind of adds to the ultra processed side of things. And then chemicals again, that's going to be, well, in my opinion, it's going to be knocking off, and as far as the research can tell, it's going to be knocking off all kind of hormones and
What
stuff like that.
research though?
Well, the research says that it's knocking
Yeah,
off
but
our.
what research? Like you can say if the research says.
Well, I couldn't quote you any, to be fair, but from what I've seen.
That's kind of important, right? Like from what I can see, from what I've seen, research says like this doesn't lead to anything. Like we're lacking for actual academic searches. Like what you're saying isn't inherently wrong, but it's also not inherently right. Like
Yeah. I
there's reasons the European Union has a lot of laws against certain processed foods, right?
yeah. Yeah.
Like it's about excessive consumption. That's mostly what you're looking at that. But that's for everything. Like it doesn't matter what even with excessive exercise is bad for you.
Yeah. Anything
Uh,
in excess is bad for you.
exactly. That's kind of the thing. Like it's also back to the point, right? Like when it comes to the quality of testosterone and stuff, and like you had the sexual revolution, but the biggest thing, because you're talking about food, but the actual research when we're talking about the case studies and systematic reviews for medication, that's where the real keys lie. There's been from my local university, the State University of Groningen, but also from the University of Amsterdam. There's been multiple researches that show where we see that the quality also inherits for the amount of medications you take, which is obvious, right? Because your medication, especially the pill is uh, very bad for women. Like it's not unhealthy at all to forcefully shut down your biological system, and the same goes for men. Like there's a men take a lot of like whey protein and casein, and these type of proteins are inherently like, in safe doses. They're safe, but if you just constantly choke that stuff, like it's still gonna do things to your body, especially when you start adding steroids onto that.
Yeah. Well, steroids has been known to, well,
They definitely ruin our fertility. That's for
yeah.
sure. Because
Yeah.
like with the research, like it's very broad to say the research. Like we do need to actually be on the point, right? Like when it comes to these type of things, we need to be like, okay, so you have like a lot of places like PubMed, for example, where you can look up the actual researchers for these type of things. Like I said, you're not inherently wrong, but you're also not inherently right, which
Yeah.
is the
Like
problem, right?
I guess the Mayo Clinic is one that I've seen, you
No, that's
know,
not good. No, no,
that's
no,
not good.
no.
Fair enough. Right, okay. I
Like the
mean,
Mayo
the
Clinic is
NHS as
basically
well, I suppose, have done their own
that's
research on
good.
it.
Yeah, yeah, that's good. That's good. But PubMed is where the actual documents are at. Like when you search up research, you would generally speaking go to PubMed.
Right.
And there, like, well, if you go to university, especially if you go to med school and stuff like that, you would learn how to actually use PubMed because it's very annoying to use. But nowadays you have AI, so like it speeds it up things significantly. Like this is something I'll just say, like AI is wonderful. Like it's basically increased my searching for scientific documents by 1000%. Because instead of
Wow.
having to use terms on PubMed, I can just throw the entire query into an AI and it will just tell me multiple researches, and then all I have to do is it a good systematic review? Can I do crossovers? Is it well? Is is English, enough people have been tested, right? Like you have a ground scope, so at
Yeah.
least 1,000 people, preferably more than that. If anything less than that, like obviously between 100 and 1,000 is still good, but 1,000 plus, then you're really getting into the difference between the median and the mode, stuff like that,
Yeah.
which is very important when it comes to this type of research.
Yeah.
So
Especially when it's to
going
do
back
with the human
to
body, right? So,
yeah,
I mean,
that's especially there. Yeah, that's why I was like quite scrutinizing you, which is not a personal attack. It's just when it comes to these type of things, like there's just
yeah,
so
we need to be
much
right.
nonsense out there.
Yeah. Yeah. Can't afford to be wrong, in other words.
Yeah, not with the body. Like the body, we don't know enough. Like sure, we know most things, but like DNA is still very complex, and the brains, we don't
Yeah, I
know
mean,
much
well,
about the
we've only
brains.
really discovered 1% of how the brain works, essentially.
Exactly,
It's something like that, you know what I mean? We just still don't
very
know how
complex.
consciousness exists and stuff like that, you know?
Yeah. But the male biological clock is kind of like what we're talking about. It's a term mostly coined by a woke and feministic ideology that is mostly people that are facing their own menopause, which is something men don't have, and especially when it comes to like Marxist ideology, you're trying to balance things out. So you're like, oh, men have menopause, so let's try to attack the men now. Let's see what they have. So there's a 100% increase in the increased risk of fertile sperm within our loads, right? Sure, 100% sounds like a lot. It's from 0.05% to 0.1%. That's still nothing. So you could be looking in a 50-year window, you could be looking at, let's say, a decline from 100% to 98%. This is why men well into their 50s and older still have very healthy children because that 2% is nothing. It's just way too insignificant to actually use as a case. But women are like, oh, it's a 100% increase, and they're like, oh, or woke ideology for that matter. They're like, oh, like let's use this and weaponize it, and now start attacking men with the quote unquote male biological clock. Like I said, this is not a thing. They
Yeah.
are inventing that word.
Well, this is the whole thing with females, right? So after about the age of what 35, they start getting menopause. So they start getting hot sweats and stuff like that. And I've even like heard some women saying, "Oh, I've got the sweats and stuff like that," and they'll openly say, some of them will openly say, "I'm going through menopause," kind of thing. But it's quite a private and personal thing as well. But
Yeah,
it
definitely.
is where their hormones change, their ovarian eggs don't become as fertile anymore, and then they stop. I believe they stop the periods as well. So it's a quite a deeply. I guess for a woman, it's quite not traumatic, but it's a severe change from what they're
It's a
used to.
reality check, isn't it?
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
most of these women don't have children.
yeah,
There's a
exactly. So
lot of
that when you
stories
get
of
to that,
like,
you could imagine from a female's point of view, when you get to that point and you realize you can't have kids anymore, you must be like, shit, fuck. I've essentially, not had what I was given the tools to give birth to, kind of thing.
it's their own fault.
Yeah, of course.
Like especially now, because there's so many people that's all check the research, check the research. Okay, so right now we're doing this as well because it's a sensitive topic. But there comes a point in time where right now, I think it was in January, the French came out with the news post saying, "Oh, we're going to start mailing every single 29-year-old women that are still not having a children that the clock is ticking."
Yeah,
And this is the thing, right? They're specifically mailing it to women because for men this means nothing.
yeah, yeah. It's not a whole movement as well now, but like, have we not discussed this before in the podcast? Fem cells as well, like
Yeah,
where
but
they'll
that's nothing to
actively.
do with this.
I know, but just to kind of put it out there, the whole they're blaming men for how they can't, no men want to come to them, kind of thing.
That's not femcells though. Femcells just hate men.
All right, okay, fair enough. I thought it
Yeah,
was the
so
opposite way about.
it's the same with incels. Like if you ever listen to an incel, they just hate women.
Fair enough.
Like these people don't like the opposite gender for whatever reason.
Yeah, but do they not blame the other half for
Oh yeah,
like?
obviously.
Yeah,
It's an us versus them type of thing,
yeah.
right? Like
They blame them
they're
for their hate, kind of thing.
yeah, like it's a thing like misery loves company, and they're
Yeah,
absolutely miserable.
yeah, absolutely. So I mean, what going back to your point then? Um,
Well, the sperm quality, right? So for men, like we're talking millions of shot, right?
yeah,
Easily. So the sperm quality, we're talking about motility, morphology, and the DNA fragmentation, and this degrades as a man ages, right? So a 70-year-old's sperm is objectively far lower quality than well, let's say a 25-year-old, right? But a man produces like tens of millions of sperm per ejaculation. So even if, let's say, 80% of them are damaged, misshapen, or I don't know, like swimming in circles because they're stupid. It only takes one structurally sound sperm to fertilize an egg.
yes,
And even
yes,
if you take it one step further, you have these treatments where you just take the cell and you manually impregnate a woman using a needle, right?
yeah,
Like men just don't lose when it comes to this. Like we have absolutely nothing to lose. There's so many ways to still get a woman pregnant if the case ever happens.
yeah. I can remember in biology back in school learning that even like the the whole process, I guess. The female's body is so hostile as well to the the male sperm that it's quite a miracle that even any sperm managed to get through there because like like, the pH levels and stuff like that are there, it's acidic within that region,
Yep.
so sperm getting through itself is quite a miracle. So that's why they'll say
Well,
miracle,
miracle is a
the
strong
miracle of
word, yeah.
birth kind of thing, because it is quite a
Yeah.
miracle how it happens, But
Yeah,
yeah,
aren't you kind of like downplaying the word miracle here?
what's that?
Like we've been reproducing for maybe millions of years, so I wouldn't really
Yeah,
say it's a miracle.
yeah, no, but I think with like if there wasn't the medical advancements that we had, I dare say that birth rates wouldn't be as high as what they are now, because
The birth rates
we've
are
came along.
extremely low, man.
Well,
We're
I,
looking at civilizational collapse because we don't have children. What do you mean?
yeah, I mean like survival rates of birth. I dare
Oh,
say.
you mean like
Yeah,
post-birth?
yeah,
What is your point exactly? Because one of the main things that we learned was that you had to wash your hands
yeah.
in
Well,
order to live a
even
baby.
that and childbirth itself, there was a lot of prenatal death and postnatal death in the
Yeah,
past.
definitely.
So, with medical advancement being the way it is now, that is less likely to happen. Even if a baby is born, say, 10 weeks, 15 weeks premature, it's still likely to survive now because we've got the technology there to support that baby, you
Yep.
know? So, whereas normally, if it was in the past, that wouldn't have happened. The baby just would have died, you know?
Yep.
So I think in terms of that, that's what I mean by our our birth rate is now higher because of that, or our birth survival, we should say, is
Yeah, like you're
higher.
using the wrong terminology here.
Yeah.
Like it's more survival rate, because birth rate itself is astronomically low.
Yeah.
Like we're talking, what is it, 1.3 or something in my country? And the top of the head could be lower than that. But it just goes to show how astronomically low it is, right?
Right. Okay. I mean, but that can't be all caused by feminism attacking males, right?
Oh no, it's a lot of things, but that's not what we're talking about.
Yeah.
We're
So
talking about the male biological clock, right?
yeah.
Like they're creating a new term in order to downplay men and to tell men like, well, oh, you can also, have problems with child, but no, we don't. We
So I mean,
will
my
be
my
perfectly fine.
my father was a late birther, in terms of him sleeping with mum, and you know, I don't think it causes any problems for a male person to sleep with a female in later life, or to give birth to disseminate, I guess, to use the terminology correctly, disseminate a female in later life. Like, our sperm won't cause a problem if we use it later in life, 60s, 70s, or whatever. It might be socially frowned upon, in that degree, because I think at that time you'd be seen as, even if the female was of age, you would still be seen as like Paul here against a cradle robber, because you're
Oh
sleeping
yeah,
with a
yeah.
younger woman. So it's highly frowned upon if you're not sleeping with a woman of your age. Do you think there's a lot of then social um problems that go with
Oh,
that whole
definitely.
area? Yeah.
They're complaining about the patriarchy, but reality is like men take longer to develop. Like this
Yeah.
is well documented.
Well, the male brain's what, 25?
Yeah, but that's not what I'm talking about.
Right, okay.
I'm just
So
talking about how men take more time to develop properly as an adult.
okay.
So, like for example, if you look at puberty, boys around this time are still behind women when it comes to intellectual development. Because women develop faster in this field. This is just very well proven. Like this, whenever these arguments come around, it's like men are like women are smarter than men. Like in this phase, they are. The reason for it, well, like I said, like you already said, like we don't know anything about the brain. Like it's so complex the way the brain works. That we kind of know what's going on, but women just develop faster.
Yeah.
That's why a woman at the age of, let's say, 21 should have enough, especially during today's age with universities and everything, where they can be well educated enough, they have enough access to make proper sound decisions. Whereas a man of 21 is still going around not really doing what he should be doing as a proper adult male,
Yeah.
because in that stage they're still developing.
Well, I mean, to be fair from both sides, I think when we're 21, we still want to enjoy ourselves, we still want to get out there, and I think a child is very hard work, right? So some people are just not ready to take on that responsibility yet, even at the age of 21 of bearing a
But that's
child.
not what I'm talking about, though.
Right, okay.
Like in Europe, it's been very well historically documented that the average age of marriage in Europe, especially in our nations, was like 25 to 27. This has been around for hundreds of years, man. Like that's not what I'm saying at all. Like what I'm saying is men just take longer to develop than women. So at 21, a woman can make better sound decisions on what or quote unquote she actually wants. Not really talking about sexual revolution here because that's kind of what they're choosing right now, but that's their own responsibility. Whereas a man, it's around the age between 25 and 30 where they really start getting their things together, right? If you
Right.
look at on average to men, like it takes quite a while around that age where they're like, okay, like this is what we're gonna do.
Yeah.
And what you saw then during those marriages, like from the 14th, 15th century, like Holy Roman Empire, like we've been doing this for a long time. Same with the British Empire, and before that, obviously, just England itself. Don't really know about Scotland, but France did it too. Italy did it as well. So what you would see is you would see an age gap because a woman prefers to have someone, let's say, quote unquote, at the same intellectual level, right? Someone
Mhm.
that can spar with her. But that men tends to require to be older because on average, men require more time to develop. So what you would see is, let's say, a 24-year-old woman with like a 28, 29-year-old man. And these marriages were perfectly fine. Like whenever you hear them complaining about the quote unquote patriarchy, what they're really complaining about is the aristocracy. They're complaining about the 1%. They're not complaining about the other 99%. No, they're only complaining about the 1%. That's why feminism today is a attack for control, right? They want control. They don't really want anything else. And they're using words in order to attack, because if it came to physics, men will just win 10 times out of 10, because we're literally biologically programmed to be stronger, right?
Yeah.
So going to this term, right, the male biological clock, is that they're just creating a new term in order to once again attack men into like, oh look, you should also hurry up, you should also be worried, you should also be like thinking about children, etc., to basically pressure us into maybe marrying her. Like I have a friend right now, Christian, and he's trying to get serious with a Christian woman. Like I'm not really judging because I don't know the lady, right?
Hmm.
But the reality is, like, she is a teacher. That's one. Not really a problem, but she's my age. She's like 32, 33-ish, right? Whereas he's 25 and he's going to graduate university. So she's a well-established career woman whose fertility warnings have already started, right?
Yeah. She'll start declining, and yeah.
Whereas he's still building his life.
Yep.
If the rules were reversed, you would hear complaints about patriarchy and power struggles. But because the rules are like this, nobody says anything, which I find it very interesting. The reality is like, well, why is a teacher of all things, right? Because a teacher should at that stage already have children, because you're quite literally standing in front of a class of students all day because she's an elementary school student teacher. So why hasn't she done any of these things? And that's why you start asking questions, right? Like I'm not really pressuring. I'm just asking him like, okay, so you want children, but next year, like your plans are not going into that direction whatsoever. Like next year he has plans, but they're not really going to make him money.
Yeah.
That's just that's such a decision, right? But a man at 25 can make that decision. That's why I said it takes between 25 and 30 for a man to really start thinking about like what do you actually want?
Yeah.
Because for now it just sounds like he doesn't know what he wants, which is quite normal. Like even for women, right? Like women also struggle with kind of like knowing what they want, but generally speaking, they know before men kind of like which direction they want to go into. So then the question becomes, okay, we're talking about this fertility rate. Like he, let's say in 25 years, can still be perfectly fine having children, no issues, zero issues whatsoever. If it ever came down to it, he could just do a needle injection and he would still have a child of his own, right? Whereas his girlfriend, not really girlfriend yet, but it would become his girlfriend. Let's say in 2 years, he might start wanting children. He could have one child maximum at best, right, with this woman, because the menopause is already clocking. So it's these type of situations where I'm like, which direction did this lady take her life for her to, at the age of 30, the ripe age of 32, 3, to start wondering about dating a very young guy that's still in school to want to have children with? Like, this is not a logical thought at all, right? This is more towards like she's probably had a lot of fun in her 20s and she wants to continue to have that fun. And how do you do that? Well, you start looking for younger men that are into older women, right?
Mm-hmm.
As far as speaking, I don't feel like this is going to be a serious relationship at all.
Yeah.
Nope.
So you think it's just a fling? What we call
Well,
fling?
she's a Christian woman, so that's very blasphemous if she does go into that direction. Like I said, I don't know her, but the reality of the situation is like she's in an age where I have questions. Whereas for the men, like I said, we don't have a biological clock. We have a decline in quality, sure, but it's still negligible, right? Like it's still absolutely nothing. Like you could have like a 75-year-old that has say a decline of 20%, so that means it's still 80% fertile. Or we could go extreme, because there have been extreme cases as well, where there's men in the age of 75 who have a 20% quality. So that means an 80% decline. That's still 20%.
Yeah.
That's still sufficient, right? So it's very interesting, like the way our society is shaping when it comes to these type of things. Like,
Is it not also the case? I think we mentioned it, but is it also not the case where if women give birth in later life, then there's more problems that can develop, mental issues that can happen with the child
it's
that they bear?
possible. It's very low percentage.
Right,
The real danger is the woman itself,
right. In what
because
sense? Elaborate.
well, if you think about the decline of the human body, right?
Yeah,
Kind of like at 35, it definitely starts. Like for everyone, it doesn't matter the gender. Like you have a decline in bone mass, decline in muscle mass. Like everything kind of starts around 35,
yeah,
generally speaking, right? So let's say you have a child at 36. That means your body is already requiring more time to recover, more time to build up towards the whole pregnancy, more time to deliver, more time. Like everything just takes more time.
yeah.
And
I mean,
even with
I'm
modern
still
science,
breathless from the stairs I climbed last week, so yeah, I get that.
you're not a pregnant woman. Well, I mean,
I know, but it's just my body takes more time to recover. Is the point?
yeah, I was gonna go there with you're not pregnant, but
The belly I have is big enough to be pregnant.
yeah. But yeah, like for a woman, it's just like the damage a pregnancy gives is just very heavy, especially as you get older.
Yeah.
So, probably speaking, you get children between the age of 25 and 30 because your body can still adequately recover from the whole ordeal, right?
Yeah.
Men don't have any of this. We just don't. We just have to be present, and we have to be supportive, and we have to be emotionally available during these times. Let's say the father is 50 and the mother is 30. Like, I don't have a problem with this. I just don't. Like, these are fully developed adult human beings. Like, especially for a woman. Like, let's say between 25 and 21 and 25, the woman is fully capable of making all of her decisions by herself. So if she at 30 decides to date an older man, power to her, right?
Yeah.
She preferably, especially with modern science, the man at least makes it to 80, so the child would make it to 30, which is might be a pretty good age. Like it's still young to lose your parents, but like you're old enough to process it properly, right? But it's also possible for them to now have multiple children. So let's say they have 3 children between 30 and 35. Yeah, it's good. The 3 children will be all well into their 20s, and they can take care of the mother. There's also another important thing, right? Like the parents have to be good parents, so the children can actually take care of the parents. Not necessarily if they can't do anything anymore, more emotionally as well. Like the children are a very big pillar for the emotional health of their parents, right? Especially as they get older.
Just to ask a question here. Have you ever heard of phantom pregnancy? You were saying about obviously males not having, problems, but I've heard of there was a male that had a phantom pregnancy, and I think it's called Ovid syndrome.
No, we call it mental illness.
Or sympathetic pregnancy.
We call it mental illness.
Yeah, but it's quite interesting that even the body reacts to it. Like the male actually got
if
a
you're
large...
mentally ill enough, you can indeed do damage to yourself.
It's interesting how the body can adopt symptoms of something that isn't even physically there, because
Body
of
can do anything
mental...
if you're mentally ill enough.
Yeah, I know. That it's just very interesting, that we say that these problems don't come along with these types of things, but it's amazing what the mental state can do, bring about symptoms of something that the body might not actually be physically possible of, capable of. Sorry, I should say.
Yeah,
No.
but it's the same with women, right? Like there have been a lot of cases, especially in history, where women think they're pregnant, but they're not really pregnant. Some just really want to be pregnant, but then
Yeah.
it doesn't work, or they've had a miscarriage, and then they start imagining things like the brain is a very powerful tool for brainwashing us.
There,
That's for
there,
sure.
there was one here lately in Scotland where a woman, faked a birth and even convinced her
Oh
mother
yeah,
that
yeah,
the
I've
whole,
heard that.
with the pregnancy. And she went onto Facebook and everything and kind of went and said about this and turned out all to be fake. And you just think to yourself, what kind of damage must she have gone through? Was there some kind of traumatic experience in her life that led her to act that way?
She belongs in an asylum.
Yeah. Yeah,
Like
I
this
mean, apart
question
from
is just
that,
not
but
for us to ask, right? Like it's just not for us to understand. Like
yeah,
this woman clearly needs professional help, and she's also a threat for people around her, so
yeah.
she should be locked up.
But maybe that's the problem is if we don't understand what, how can we then solve the problem?
That's what the asylums are for, to find what is causing it. It's like modern psychology is still a massive disaster. It all follows models and stuff, which models are nice and stuff, but then you're trying to make mathematical reasoning on the human emotion, which not a good way to go about it. That's why therapy is so awful. But in all these cases, you're actually trying to get down the root. That there could be a lot of trauma involved in that, sure, but that needs to be processed before like she actually hurt someone, right?
Yeah. There's also, I mean, like this is the strange thing about trauma, right? Our memory is unreliable. As humans, it's been proven that it's unreliable. Memory is unreliable. So, we can implant false memories of things as well. So even trauma experiences can be implanted from our own psyche, even if it hasn't happened to us,
Yep.
which I find quite fascinating. Like how could that could happen? Because it then brings a whole question about, well, what is reality? Because
Now
everybody's
you're going all the
reality,
way, man.
no,
What is
everybody's
reality?
reality must be different from the other person's. How you perceive things to how I perceive things is obviously
Oh yeah, it's very
different,
different.
conceptually. But then, it's like, so what do you believe? What is true and what's false? And I think that's a bigger question, obviously, and one I couldn't even begin to answer because I've just not got the knowledge to start. I don't think anybody's got the knowledge to start answering it, but at least a good grounding to start answering that question, of how that works. But when we sit and we say this about females giving birth and trauma and stuff like that, and you have to ask your question, is it is some women's trauma or even some men's trauma, are these could they be real instances or fake instances, or do we just trick ourselves into thinking we're not good enough to bear a child or give birth or whatever,
I don't understand your question.
it's not really a question. It's just a statement. I guess an
Yeah, like
opinion on my part. So it's just like, I guess for me, you
you went
know,
all the way. Like,
yeah, yeah,
what
just
is reality?
just explore it a little bit, I
I mean,
guess.
I know, like I've heard about this guy a lot, like David Chalmers. You probably don't know him, but he's been uh, challenging the hard problem of consciousness since like the 90s, I believe.
Yeah,
And well, there's so many hypotheticals in his work. Like, this is a type of philosophy that's way out of my field. Like, my field is more civilization, but if it really came down to like finding out the brain and stuff like that, there is philosophy for it. Like they call it the hard problem of consciousness, and David Chalmers is like a pioneer on this field. He kind of revived it because it's the oldest question in philosophy,
yeah. Well,
and he kind
even
of revived it in the 90s.
I guess you've heard the short wingers cat as well. Short
What?
wingers. Is it short
Oh,
wingers? Is that the name I'm looking for? I can't even think of his name. Scherdinger's cat.
Schrodinger.
Schrodinger, right? Thank you for correcting me.
Schrodinger. It's a
Yeah,
German.
yeah. I can't speak German. Nine.
Schrodinger.
um.
Schrodinger.
Anyway,
You've ever heard
you
of
know,
Schrodinger's cat? My
I
God.
find that whole theory fascinating as well. You know, like, what is that until they open the box? You know, is the cat going to be dead or is it going to be alive? But
Or is there
it's
even a
neither
cat?
state, you know. Yeah, or is there even a cat there until you open the box? Absolutely, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it's
It's just the meta problem of consciousness. Like, it's one
yeah.
of the most difficult fields of philosophy, and it's way out of my pay grade.
Yeah. If it's way to your pay grade, then I've got absolutely nothing on it, man. You know.
Like on SciNet, there's like a lot of work from Chalmers, but like I've peeked at it and I've read some things here and there, and like I know a few terms, but even if I see him on YouTube, I kind of just tend to pass by him because it's just way too complicated. I mean, in theory, it sounds easy to understand because like I understand the English that he's saying, right? But it's kind of like quantum physics. Quantum
Yeah.
physics is basically the study where nobody has any no idea what's going on, and they're teaching each other exactly understanding nothing of what's going on. I've saw this video of like the professor, like one of the most accumulated professors in quantum physics, and he basically said like, "You don't know anything about quantum physics. I don't know anything about quantum physics. And at the end of this course, you're still not going to know anything
Anything
about
about
quantum
quantum
physics."
physics.
Yep. Yep.
That's it, you know what I mean?
This
Because
dude
there's
got a
just so
PhD, by
many
the way.
points. I know, yeah, absolutely.
But
It's
that just goes to
crazy.
show, like, your question is so far left field that, yeah, but
A question's so far left field, it's not even a question. That's it.
I mean, it is definitely a question. It's just you need an expert. Like, you need David Chalmers. Like, if you can ever get him on the show, you can ask him this question, and he's probably got like a few opinions. But
Right, that's your task, Dominic. You are to find this person and get him on the show.
no, I pass.
I
You
pass.
want him to ask this question. I don't want the answer. Like, for me, a hard problem of consciousness can be like broken down into a few things. Like, you have the brain, which is like objective, physical, and describable,
Yeah,
which that sounds right. Like, I can understand that.
yeah,
But then you have the qualia, which is consciousness itself, which is subjective, private, and ineffable. Ineffable. Ineffable, I think, right? Ineffable, yeah. So you have these three stages, right? And then within these three stages, you could, the arguments you're making is like, are memories fabricated? Are memories even real? Stuff like that. Like, there's even theories that, was it from Hawkins? I don't remember, but it was from someone where you have multi-dimensional theory, and it could just be that certain memories or dreams that you're having are variations of you dreaming about an alternative reality where you are in.
yeah. You're
So
actually doing that thing.
it
Yeah.
goes so complicated. It's so complicated. Like like I said, I've peaked on this complex problem a little bit, but
I mean, it's funny because I've had dreams and I've woke up and I've felt like that's actually happened. You know, like I can still remember the dream quite clearly.
yeah,
And
the
then I'm
best
like,
example is a coma, right? I think
yeah,
you've heard about coma cases where people have an entire life and they wake up and someone even committed suicide because of finding out it wasn't all real.
oh man, that's horrible. Survive a
Yeah.
coma and then commit suicide. Damn,
Yeah, because this man had a wife and children, and he had a life.
damn.
And then he wakes up and it's all gone. Like, yeah, that's something to process. Like, that doesn't go away because in his brain he's accumulated decades.
Yeah, it's just to kind of get on a, I guess, a little bit of a personal experience here. But like when my dad was on his deathbed, about a week before he passed away, um, he basically died. So they but they managed to kind of bring him back. But you know, as he said, to my mum at the time, said that during that time, he actually like he had the physical experience of sitting with someone and saying, you know, you have to go back to settle your affairs, kind of thing. And it was just a presence. But you know, the figure said to him, well, you can come now or you can go back and settle your affairs. And my dad chose to go back and settle his affairs. And he said he said to my mum, he said it felt completely real at that point, and my dad wasn't like a religious person or anything, but he said he felt at that point like he was speaking to a godly figure, another being, that was going to allow him to obviously come back to the present and be able to settle what he needed to settle here on earth, kind of thing, before he passed
Yeah.
away. So he kind of had an underlying notion that he was going to go quickly. The figure didn't say when he was going to go, but he just kind of said, if you want to go back and settle your affairs, you can go back, kind of thing, and that at that point he then woke up when he accepted to go back. He kind of came out, obviously, to get revived, and he was able to have a discussion with my mum about things that were going on in his life,
Yeah.
So that for him and that for my mum as well was kind of deeply, for me as well, it was kind of deeply profound, that could happen, because knowing my
I mean, I'm
dad,
religious, so
yeah, I know, but knowing my dad, he wasn't that kind of
Yeah.
person, you know what I mean? So that for
There's
me
lots of
was
cases
like the
about
moment
this.
I kind of had to question um, my own view on, religion and things like that.
Like, there's been documented a lot of cases of people
Near-death
also with
experience.
near death. Yes,
Yeah.
like my older brother, for example, when he was a child, he almost drowned, and he was kind of like a problematic child
Yeah.
growing up. Like, sure, we all went to church, like we're Protestants, but he had his issues, right? But then that near-death experience, I've never actually asked him about it. That my mother obviously knows everything about it because it was one hell of a trip. Let's just say that. And after that, his spirituality became basically unbroken. He became like a center. Like nothing could break him anymore when it came to believing the word of Christ.
Yeah.
And that still shows today. Like when I look at him, I'm sometimes just amazed. Like, sure, a lot of people are like, "Oh man, you're so disciplined, stuff like that." You're like that as well. Then I look at my brother, I'm like, you have no idea, man.
You tend to read it a lot as well, like, with people's stories, like they'll say they've had some kind of like near-death experience and they've came out a changed person because, maybe they don't say it directly, but I would imagine they've experienced some kind of profound, you know,
They've experienced something
yeah,
we will never be able to
yeah,
describe. That's just
unless you're near death. And there was a whole film about it. I think it was called White Noise. It was Bruce. Yeah, it was like Bruce. Not Bruce Willis. Who was it? Him who did Batman, the original Batman. What's his name again? Keith. Oh. Wait a second. I need to find out this guy's
You're
name.
talking about the 2020 movie?
No, the earlier Batman.
No, I'm talking about the White Noise movie. I just looked it up.
Yeah, I think it was 2020, or maybe
Yeah,
not.
2022. Yeah, it says here 2022 White Noise. It's about a man, a professor of Hitler study. Man, what are you watching?
No, that's not right then. No, that's not right.
He speaks no German, a secret taking basic lessons. What is you doing in your free time,
Wait,
my
hold
guy?
on. No, because that's not the movie. That is not. I thought it was White Noise, but it's maybe something else.
Yeah,
'Cause it was
is
ba-
this
it was
Netflix?
back in like 2000 and
Was it 5?
maybe 2005. Yeah.
Michael Keaton.
Yes, Michael Keaton. There we go.
Yeah, all right. Oh yeah, there is a movie 2005. Okay. They need to start copyrighting these names, man. White Noise, White Noise, White Noise. 3 movies with the same name.
Brilliant. Yeah. So I mean, that movie, what kind of went into the whole near-death experience thing,
Huh.
and explored that whole concept. But it had a kind of horror take on it as well, And it was good. It was a good movie.
I mean, yeah, that's what movies do, right? They do have their own twists. Same with The Matrix, right? Like it follows a plot line that has potential to become reality depending on the actions of humans in coming decades.
Yeah.
Same with Terminator, for that matter.
Oh yeah. I mean, even to the point where we are now getting an AI that's called Skynet. I believe one of the military computers are actually called Skynet.
Yeah, they did it on purpose, obviously.
Well, that's the thing. You would maybe think that, but you have to ask the question: what came first, the military computer or the film? You know?
Who knows? We will never know. I mean,
Yeah.
unless they declassify it, which they
Yeah.
sometimes do.
Well, is it not like 100 years they have to technically declassify it, or is that am I just
I have
imagining that?
no idea. I mean, you're right. I did read that they have to, but there could just be things where they're like, nope.
Nope. That's just never getting to see
I
the light
mean,
of
yeah,
day.
that's the thing, right? Like, if the president just decides, you know what, like, we're just not gonna release it, like, what are you gonna do? Complain?
Yeah, well, that's it exactly. You know what I mean? And Trump being Trump, he's just open for anything, releasing anything. So
Oh yeah, anything to distract from, you know. But yeah,
yeah,
like when it comes to these things, right? Like, there is a lot of complicated philosophy. I'm interested into it because Carl Jung, for example, he is definitely an outlier when it comes to the understanding of the human psyche. And he too has like these theories and like it's all very. Like, I understand what he's saying and I can understand like what's going on, but at the same time, I have no idea what's going on.
it's one of those ones, isn't it? It's like you need to have a mega brain to just understand it. You know what I mean?
I mean, I understand it and I can apply it to my own philosophy. It's
Yeah,
just I don't know where it's going, right?
yeah,
If you build a car, you know you're building a car.
yeah,
I don't know what I'm building when I go into these type of ideas.
yeah. I mean, well,
Like,
the paradox is right that even reality, you don't know where you're going. So I
exactly.
guess to to
Like,
explore
there's also
that.
so many theories about our own universe, right? Like,
Yeah,
when it comes to science, there's a lot of things that are like universes even like infinitely expanding. But at the same time, there's this idea that we actually are inside of a black hole.
yeah. Is there not
Like,
the Fermi paradox as well?
yeah, there's so many complicated things, man. That's why,
Crazy.
like, I specialize on like civilizational theory, and that is already complicated enough.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
Like, but when it comes to like, at some point, you just gotta be like, you know what, I'm done with constantly being attacked as a man. Like, growing up, like masculine traits are bad. And this is in the Netherlands where we're brutally open with each other, and then you have the hookup culture, and then like men definitely have skin in the game when it comes to all these problems. And
Yeah,
don't get me wrong, but it's about time women start looking in the mirror.
yeah, I definitely. I mean, but do you think right? Here's a question, right? Getting back to obviously the point of the matter, we're getting feminists who's like, attacking males and stuff like that to say, right, you need to get a move on, kind of thing. But do you not also think that there's been a sharp decline in social interaction now? And, you know, like because of the whole social media thing, and also the fact that maybe women don't feel safe going out anymore, because there's so much stories out there now about men who are raping women and stuff like that and whatnot, you know, and sex crimes and etc. etc. You know what I mean? So it's making like the world is a very unsafe place for women to be.
Oh,
Um,
word or country? Let's be specific here.
right, okay. Well, I guess in Britain we have quite a
Yeah,
lot of
yeah,
tabloid headlines
the
about
country.
yeah.
Like, the problem is women are themselves to blame for this.
In what
Like,
way? Because that's not really fair. I mean, if a man attacks a woman, that's completely his.
yeah, but who creates the society? Who creates the culture? Like, if you think about the way we function at a tribal level and then going forward, right? You have a culture, and who is the primarily drive for this culture? It's the female. Women are, by large, more interested in developing the community, more interested in developing the social connections. They're more interested in what the culture looks like. That's why throughout history, what you would see is women form the culture and men protect it. Now, what do you think happens when men are attacked to such an extreme they're no longer interested in protecting their idea of culture?
They're going to retreat.
And what happens when those men retreat?
Then there's not going to be any more fertile, or not fertile women. There's not going to be any women getting pregnant, so to speak. They're not going to really get any association
I
with
mean, you're
women.
talking about assault. I'm not talking about pregnancy here.
Right. Okay. So the question was what happens when men retreat, right? They're not going to be willing to build relationships with women to, in
No, that's
order
not
to,
where I'm going.
right? Okay, but that's
I'm talking
my
about
take on it.
protection. I'm
Yeah.
talking about protection. Like it is completely irrelevant to want, because this is you're not kind of okay. The idea that you're currently building on is that in order for a man to offer protection, the woman should be subservient to them, which I completely disagree with.
No, I'm not really saying that. No.
No, but that is the idea that you're not necessarily saying, but that is what you're quite literally saying.
Right. Okay. Well, I mean, in
But
terms of
my idea of protection, right? Like you protect, let's say your sister, your mother, but
yeah,
also a stranger. But let's say you create a society that has Marxist ideology where the state protects you. So if I see a woman getting raped, my reaction is not my problem.
whereas if I seen a woman getting raped, I would probably hurt the guy.
Okay, so you go to jail and the woman might not even be thankful.
Yeah, but that's my problem to deal with.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying, right? Like you're one of the rare ones that is still willing to step in, whereas most men that are fully capable of protection have decided, you know what, you're on your own. Like I do not see any reason to protect you based on your actions that you've shown, and the consequences are now coming now. And it's kind of like the fuck around, find out, right? That's kind of like what you're doing with society. The more you deconstruct society, the more you demolish the pillars of our civilization, the more chaotic things become. And at some point, you're going to be put into a situation where, okay, you don't feel safe outside. Like, yeah, we spoke about this before, right? I have the numbers from the CBS, like on the Central Bureau of Statistics.
Hmm.
Over 30% of women between the age of 18 and 30 don't feel safe going outside. Yeah. And where did they mostly do this research? In Amsterdam, Rotterdam, and Utrecht. What do all of those cities have in common? Okay, Dutch men are a minority there.
Yeah.
White men are a minority there. But they don't feel safe in cities that are not Dutch. But they still complain about Dutch men. It's like, can you at least show me where those Dutch men are? Because last I checked, they're not even there. They've already gone north. They've already gone to Drenthe. They've already gone to Friesland. They've already gone to Groningen. They've abandoned you because they do not want to defend the culture that you are creating. You've made a hostile culture against men, and men decide, I'm just not interested.
I think I'm just thinking to myself here. See, if it was a woman who was getting attacked, I would probably attack the person who was attacking her because, yeah, it's a woman and maybe not as physically capable as men. But if I seen another man getting attacked, I probably would walk just the other way, you know? And is that heartless of me? I don't know. You know, is that
No, I mean,
wrong?
you're making the case, but let me just put you this question, right? Because this is how you are treated in your own country. Henry Novak.
Right?
You've heard of him, right?
Think so, but elaborate.
So this is the guy who I don't know the exact date. I think the 18th of May, 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago, he was going home, university,
Oh, that's the person who gets
and
stabbed.
then he's
Yeah,
sick.
yeah.
Has a ceremonial sword on him.
Okay.
Stabbed him. The police showed up, and they arrested him because the Indian said, "Oh, he was being discriminatory. He was being racist against me." And in the last moments of this video, you can literally hear his last words were literally, "Bro, I can't breathe." That is your fate. You get arrested for a hate crime when you're bleeding out. So then the question becomes, this is what you want to defend? This is what you want to protect? This is why I say I look the other way. Like, what happens to you is not my problem.
Hmm.
You've quite literally voted for this. Because most women vote left. And who is doing all of these things? It's the left. Sure, the right is also involved in politics in general. Like, the democracy is a complete joke. It's the best we've got from the worst, right? Like, from all the political ideologies we have, this is the best of the rest. But it doesn't change the consequences of creating a culture that is hostile towards either gender, because the opposite is true as well. When the culture is hostile against women, it's also bad. Like,
Right.
don't get me wrong, like, this goes both ways. Like, I can bring up, because Christianity has also been attacked a lot. So let me just paraphrase what's actually in Christianity when it comes to women. In Christianity, in the letter of Titus, it quite literally says that a woman must be educated. And this is a key word, right? The word must. It's like there's a demand for a woman to have access to education so they can be better mothers, right? Or better older women to younger women, better role models, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So we did not allow that to women for a very long time, and this is what I'm against. And it's also not in the Bible. But the reality is, a woman must be educated. And Mary Wollstonecraft, in The Vindication of the Right of Women, wrote about these things. She is considered the grandmother of feminism, right? But a modern day feminist calls herself feminist without not having read her book and not knowing who she is. That's like a Christian saying they're a Christian without knowing the Bible and not knowing Jesus.
Hmm.
There is zero consistent logic in there.
Yeah.
Because what Mary Wollstonecraft actually fought for was for a woman to stand side by side with men, to be capable of fighting things together, not as a single entity, but as a unified soul. And if you actually think about what feminism should be, it should be they should have access to education, they should have access to universities, they should have access to work, to everything, right? They should have access to these things so that they can become better women, better mothers, or if they choose not to, become at least better role models for younger women. That is real feminism. What we've actually created was one of the most discriminatory systems in the history of mankind, where men are actively attacked in academics, not to stand next to women, but to stand behind women. There has been a case in the University of Eindhoven where it was so bad that the women in charge, this is a group of women, right? They're in the board, and multiple professors and the principal decided not to hire men. And the result was they got dragged to the Court of Human Rights. So it got to such a point, they actually, because they were found guilty, so they actually broke the human right accords. That is no longer equality. If you get dragged to the Court of Human Rights and you lose the case quite devastatingly even, you're doing something horribly wrong. And this is what's going on in my country. I don't know about England, but this is what I can observe from my own news sources, right?
Right.
And then last year, Lisa got raped and murdered by a potentially Nigerian man. We don't even know. That's already a problem, right?
Bloody.
Or someone who got already arrested 3 times,
So
got released 3 times.
is that
and-
his identity that's been protected?
No, he's an alien.
All right. Okay. All right. Okay.
He's an illegal alien. Like, he got rejected asylum, got arrested 3 times, got told 3 times to leave, and the last thing he did was he raped a woman. Do you know what the women of my country did? Because the protest was the majority white women. So that means white women in my country, right? Do you know what they did? They went on the streets protesting and said that this is a men issue. It's not an asylum issue, not an immigrant issue. No, it's a men issue. So they're now once again attacking Dutch men for a problem that is not our problem.
Whereas it should be attacking the individual because it's a
No, it
him
should be
problem.
attacking aliens.
Yeah.
Like, I'm in full favor of ICE. Like, I want these people who got rejected asylum to get the hell out of my country. You have nothing to do here. Like, these
I
are
mean-
criminals in the waiting.
Yeah. For me, it's an individual problem because not every illegal alien is. Oh, I mean
They're a
the
criminal,
term
period.
the illegal. You know, I guess they are if they're illegal if they've came here illegally. Yeah, then it's
But
criminal.
if you
Isn't
get
it?
rejected, if you get
Yeah.
rejected and you get told to leave, you are once again a criminal because you're now staying in a country that wants you gone. And you are not leaving. Like, imagine I come to your house and I say, Dave, I've decided that this is now my house. And you're like, but Dominic, I live here. And I'm like, well, that sounds like a you problem.
Yep.
And you call the police, and the police calls you a racist. That's what you're doing.
Yeah.
Am I a criminal for trespassing in your house? Yes. Am I a criminal for occupying your house? Yes.
Yes.
Like,
And then
we
2
want
days
this
later,
discussion
I'd bring
many
a
times.
gun and you'd be forced to move out anyway. And then I'd get arrested for it.
Yeah. But
Because you're not allowed
this
to
is-
own a gun here.
But this is the thing. This is suicidal empathy. Like, this is the academic term we keep hearing more and more. It's suicidal empathy that you're
Yeah.
doing. Because you believe in the good of humans. No problem. I agree, right? Like, this is something we can agree on. But I also believe in law. And I believe the law should not be optional. The law was there for a reason. And the moment you decide that a criminal should stay in the country for no reason whatsoever, except for stroking yourself on the back and patting yourself, saying you're a good boy, that's suicidal empathy.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
Like you
we
should not
have
have.
laws for a reason, obviously. You know.
Yeah, but these men are doing things that are they're already criminal by nature, but now they're also engaging into criminal things like rape, murder. Like these are not the things that are happening. They're doing petty theft, they're doing actual theft. Like this is a consequence of you showing suicidal empathy to these people.
Yeah.
The reality is, because most women want these illegals here, it's like, okay, like, do what you want. If they rape you, not my problem. But this is the thing, right? If you have a good culture where both men and women can stand next to each other, you would, on average, because there's exceptions, right? But on average, you would see men taking the protection role and women taking the forming role, the forming of the culture, and men would protect that culture. But there's nothing to protect here. So most men just decide, you know what, do what you want. That's what we're
Mm.
seeing right now, right? And as a result, women get more and more mad at men. And then you also always have on the side of incels. And they keep attacking men for, oh, you don't do this, you don't do that. And they're blaming the actions of aliens now on native men. Like, it's already so bad that in 2024 a law was passed where it became a crime to hit on women. It's like, okay, like, you don't want us to talk to you anymore? Okay, do whatever you want, right?
Yeah.
But they're making it more and more difficult for any form of healthy relationship to be established. So what do? They entertain hookup culture. They get older and then they become more miserable, and then they start blaming men for all their problems. When in reality, men are not the reason you slept with them. You were
Mm.
just horny and decided not to have any self-control. This goes both ways, right? Like, I also don't agree with men doing and partaking in hookup culture. I myself have never taken part in hookup culture.
Yeah.
I've seen my friends do it, and I've spoken to them about it, and I've told them not to do it. But
Yeah.
like, whether or not they listen to me is not my problem.
For me, I mean, for me, that it just doesn't make sense. Hookup culture, you know. I mean, I need to get to know a person, or I could
Yeah, same.
actively take that decision to go any further with a relationship.
Like biblically, you could even go as far as saying no action before marriage, but
Yeah.
that's also quite an extreme.
Yeah, it is indeed. But yeah, no, I don't get hookup culture, and I just can't. I can't sleep with the first person that I see.
Yeah, that's totally normal. That's just the thing, right? Like, this gender war has just gone on too long, and nobody wins. That's the
Mm.
reality. Nobody wins. We're both miserable. But the thing is, men have options, women don't.
Hmm. Yeah, because
That's kind of the
women,
point, right? We
their
don't have a valid
biological
vote.
clock's faster, so they technically don't
Not
have a lot of
faster. They
options.
have one. We don't.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
There
yeah,
is no faster, Dave. Like, we just don't have one.
yeah, yeah.
Like,
Apart from
that's a
when we
big.
die,
Yeah, when we
you know,
die,
that's
yeah.
a clock to
Yeah, I
speak.
mean, everyone dies, Dave. Everyone
Yeah,
dies.
yeah. Well, we never know. Maybe we'll find that frozen figure of the Disney guy. You know.
Who knows? But this is what's happening, and like, when I ask people to describe their culture, they never have an answer. It's the same. Like, if I were to ask you to describe Scottish culture, like, okay, you can go this stereotypical road and be like, you have your drink, you have your skirts, and you have the bagpipe.
Our skirts, they're called kilts. Come on,
Yeah,
you.
yeah, 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 yeah. It's a skirt. I don't care what you call it. It's still a skirt. But like, if I were to actually ask you to describe current modern day Scottish culture, it would probably be something along the lines of like sex, drugs, and alcohol, right?
well, I
Not all of it,
mean,
but
yeah.
it's
Uh,
consumerism, right?
Yeah, of course. It's just
Netflix and
yeah,
chill.
it's hedonistic. A hedonistic culture.
I mean, that's one way to describe it, but if you were to actually describe it, you would have to point out the things like you're mostly doing consumer active lifestyle. So Netflix, Hulu, Amazon Prime, whatever you want to call those streaming services, Disney Plus, or you would just drink a lot of alcohol, or you would just consume yourself in lust. So hookup culture, or you would do drugs to feel anything. Like the seven sins, like the seven deadly sins, are a philosophical term, right? They're from a Christian, But the seven deadly sins are deadly for a reason because they
Yeah,
consume your mental health.
like the glutton.
Yeah, gluttony.
Yeah,
That's also like diabetes. Sure, there's exceptions, but most people that get diabetes have it because of
yeah,
their actions.
yeah, absolutely. I mean,
Yeah.
for me, being a diabetics because my lifestyle, I ate to excess and I didn't exercise, and therefore my body developed diabetes.
Yeah.
Whereas if you probably went back 100 years ago, diabetes wasn't even a thing.
What? Yes, it was.
Well, it was probably a thing, but it wasn't as prevalent in society.
Yeah, not prevalent, but like diabetes have been around probably since the dawn of time, to be honest. Like,
Yeah, yeah, of course. There's always going to be genetic factors that, inherently make you more susceptible to it. But I think diet and exercise play a huge role in how, your body breaks down that sugar and how your
yeah,
hormones react.
like there's very strong evidence from African, what's called shamans, I guess. So in the African continent, for millennia, they've been treating diabetic types of issues in local populations for a very long time. This was actually an issue with discrimination. Like Western researchers were too racist to actually take the advice or knowledge from these African doctors because they were like it's a tribal knowledge, right?
Yeah,
When in reality, what we've now found out is that there's multiple plants in West Africa that actually show like a reducing in blood glucose by more than 50% in testing.
wow.
You can find this on the National Institute of Health. Like, this has
What?
been around for a long time. So, like, African doctors use this to treat these type of symptoms, and it actually worked.
Yeah,
And we've taken this now more serious in the past decade, and we're finding quite a lot of plants in Africa
yeah.
that are exceptional to deal with diabetic issues.
Well, just to actually, I think, to take your point there, I think that's how, like, Ozempic and Manjaro was developed, was through that kind of finding out
No,
about
this
that
is
plant.
completely
But they
unrelated.
biologically enhanced it, so to speak. So I mean, they started
No,
development on that drug about what 15 years ago.
no, you are so wrong. It's not even funny.
Well, okay, correct me then.
Ozempic comes from research on the GLP-1 hormone, and they also did this on research for lizard venom. Like completely left field. Like just get my facts straight. I'm gonna look it up. It's just easier because I know kind of like the idea because I know it comes from like lizard venom and like the gut hormone, but these are completely unrelated to what we just spoke about in Africa. Let's see.
I always thought it was a
So
plant. Is there not something? Is it maybe metformin I'm thinking of then, or something?
no. So the gut hormone, that's the first one, is discovered in the 1988s. That's the GLP-1 hormone, which naturally regulates the blood sugar levels and the insulin release. And the lizard venom is also closely mimics the human GLP-1. And Sigma lutetium development is okay. It's all aimed towards the GLP-1. This is completely unrelated to anything we just spoke about.
Fair enough. Okay, I'm corrected. I stand corrected.
Yeah, it's the GLP-1 hormone. Yeah, everything that I'm reaching is a GLP-1, GLP-1, GLP-1. This is completely unrelated to African medicine.
Okay.
History of the Gila monster venom. Yeah, the Gila monster venom as well. What the Gila monster venom? Let me just find out where they come from. United States. So even the venom is American.
There you go. I stand
Yeah.
corrected. Thank you very much.
Yeah, this is something like. So my sister took it, and I knew kind of like which hormone it triggered, but I didn't know the full details. But the plants that I'm talking about from Africa, those are just kind of like if you think about Chinese medicine, right? They to try and error kind of test what kind of treats what, right? And African doctors just had a lot of access to certain type of plants that kind of helped with certain things, but modern research, especially things like Ozempic, comes from labs.
Right.
It's all laboratory work.
Yeah.
And yeah, saliva from the Gala monster, venomous native to the southwestern United States. Yeah, they've been attacking the GLP-1 hormone, and that's kind of like what Ozempic's for. It's
So
unrelated.
what drug has come from Africa then?
What do you mean?
So has there not been a drug that's been developed because of this African medicine?
No, like I said, they've been working on it for the past 10 years, but to put it into production is still a different story, right?
Right.
Because they still need to kind of be like, what are the effects, etc., etc. Like
Yeah.
we just know that in Africa, African doctors have been using multiple plants to treat diabetic symptoms, I guess, to call it that simple. And that's kind of like where we're looking. But the actual research, like I know for the chemotherapy drugs, I'm pretty sure from Madagascar.
Damn.
I think it's called Fimbalastine. I'm not entirely sure. Or is it Christine? It's one of those things at least. That comes from Madagascar.
Yeah.
But the other things, look, by the time this becomes, this is the thing, right? Like the moment you make a medicine, that means you have to get a farm in order to produce the plants, etc., etc.
Yeah.
It's an entire logistic train. So 10 years of research isn't just randomly, magically going to create like this type of medicine. And if anything, with how fast our laboratories are developing, we might not even need those plants anymore.
Yeah. I mean, AI has probably taken a
That as
big
well.
step
Yeah.
forward with that. You know what I mean? And but if we get agentic AI, then that's just going to be, I think, the cream of the crop.
Yeah, I mean, AI is also working on what's it called, DNA structures.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, so like
It's
I'm
going.
all
I
for
guess that's where
building.
AI is going to come in. Its very own as the medical field, for
Yeah, it just
discovery.
speeds up so much. It
Yeah.
speeds things up. So, I mean, it's the same for me. Like I just mentioned to you, like PubMed, right? Like 10 years ago, like what was it, 2014, 2018? That's when you was in university. You had Google, you had Google Scholar and PubMed, and some other things that I don't remember any of. And this is where you went to find your research. So
Yeah.
whenever you would have to do research, you would go to Google Scholar or PubMed to find your documents, and then depending on whether or not it's paywalled, sometimes you would mail the author, and then they would actually send you the whole thing. This is the beauty of science. Like there's all things paywalled, but there's a lot of authors that are just happy you want to read their research, so they would actually send it to you. But that's kind of how you had to do it back then. And now with AI, I can literally just tell an AI, this is my thought process, these are the things I'm thinking about, and this is the requirements of research that I require in order to make an argument, and it needs to be within these quotas, because the quotas are very important. And then the AI just tells me exactly where I can find these things. And the critical thinking part is you actually go to those sites, you read the research, and then you're like, okay, what does this research actually say? Because AI will still go schizophrenic, you know?
Yeah.
Still very important to be critical with the information an AI gives you because
Yeah. You need to
it's
fact check it.
yeah, exactly.
Definitely. It has
Which is
it has a habit of exaggerating.
yeah, it's very important that you keep telling yourself this. Like, don't just blind to take AI's word for it. But that's kind of like it speeds things up so much because now I don't have to do my own systematic reviews anymore. It just gives me an overview of everything that I require, and then the only systematic review I have to do is make sure that everything adds up. So I've gone from having to do deep research into finding the actual documents that I require for my research into just having a very neat list of all the research that I have to read over and cross-reference and make sure that everything is correct, which
I,
is absolutely fantastic.
I think yeah, definitely. I think on like that we should always be using AI to enhance our workflow, but not to replace it.
Yeah, I mean, there's also like if you want to work on your writing skills, you can also use it as an editor because editors are very expensive, but an AI can just tell you kind of like give you advice. Oh,
Yeah.
you should do this and you should do that, and like it makes it easier to construct a chapter because
Yeah.
like when I'm going through my thought process, like I have a general idea, but it all starts with putting one word on paper, right? But that's easy to say.
Sure.
Because the reality is, I have to actually invest into making sure that I get the whole thought through. Because a philosopher kind of what to do is like imagine a train station, right? They have all these train stations, and you're on the train, and you want to make sure the train goes all the way.
Yeah.
But every train station has a different thought process. So what an AI does is just speeds up the train. That's all it does,
Definitely.
and
We're
that's kind of the beauty of it.
I guess we're starting to sound like an advertisement for AI. But yeah. Any final thoughts then on, feminism and attack on males?
I mean, the gender war is both sides, and it's both very damaging to our society.
Yeah.
That is just an issue. But when you start doing low blows like this, it's basically mythology. It's kind of like, what's the point? Like, what are you trying to prove? Because the patriarchy itself, like, there is issues with the patriarchy, but also good things about the patriarchy. To completely destroy it, it gets you nowhere. Like, you need hierarchy. You need some kind of leader to tell you this is what we're gonna do. Imagine you have a household where nobody says anything, and you're just good luck. Just do whatever you want. More often than not, that child is not going to turn out very nice now, is he? Sure, there's obviously exceptions, but there's a lot of them that become extremists on both sides. They become extreme left or extreme right, or they start doing a lot of drugs, etc., etc. These are sure helicopter parents are also not good, but you do need some kind of thing of what does a good male role model looks like, and what does a good female role model looks like.
Which we explored in our archetypes, right?
Kind of, yeah. Like that's kind of the new book I'm working on, right?
Yeah.
Like I'm still not very happy with it. Like I have the archetype, sure, like, but I feel like sometimes I'm making it too simple, or I'm just yeah. The generalization is also obviously important, but when it comes to these archetypes for both genders, it's just you need more life experience. This is what I'm gonna say. Like I'm only 33 now, right?
Yeah.
I feel like I don't have enough life experience to actually make an argument for the whole thing yet. Like I have an argument for what I observe, sure,
Yeah.
but I don't have an argument for the whole thing yet. But like,
I mean, I'm approaching my 40s and I'm in the same boat, I think no matter what age we get to, there's, you can only have so much wisdom if you've experienced something. I mean, you
Exactly.
you can have an empathetic view, right? And you can empathize with a person on something, but until you've
Yeah.
actually experienced it, you're not going to know exactly how that experience is.
Exactly. That's just it, right?
Yeah,
Like it's
absolutely.
easy to just criticize everything, which is what most philosophers have done for the past 230 years, and that's what makes me disrespect them because it's just ridiculous to only criticize and not give any solutions. But at the same time, it does require like some level of life experience. Like Plato is known on the record to be saying like the best moment for a man to enter, like for example, politics stuff like that, is at the age of 55, because at that stage they've basically become a complete version of themselves. So that was Plato's opinion, like at the age of 55, or was Socrates? I don't even remember. I'm pretty sure it's Plato though.
I'm surprised he even lived that long back then.
No, like the average age for men and women, even in that time, if you at the moment you made it past like let's say young adulthood, you were pretty much guaranteed to make it to 60 plus.
Wow.
The reason the average is so low is because babies not surviving.
Yeah.
That really breaks the average. Like it really breaks it.
Like we were saying earlier on, kind of thing.
Yeah, but like when you think about the ancient Greeks, like almost every single famous person you know of, they're old.
Yeah. Yeah,
Like all of
true.
them. Even
Yeah.
in math, right? Like if you think about the mathematics, because the Greeks are also very good at mathematics. Like all of them are old as well.
Yeah.
Like the sinus, cosinus, trigonometry.
Mm-hmm.
Like all those Greeks, they're old.
They're old fogies.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Like the moment they actually made it to adulthood, the chances of obviously they could die in war. That's also another reason why the average age was low. But you had war, you had famine, you had childbirth issues, so child mortality rates were quite high. So if you were to survive all that, there's a very high chance you would make it all the way.
Well,
Yeah.
we might go back to that. Who knows? We might be, we might be going back to the Sword and Shield.
I mean, we should. If you think about it, we really should. Like, it's now or never, really.
We're getting to the point now where it does seem quite, precarious that, something's not going to give, which is scary.
Very scary. How about you? Anything for closing statement?
I think through all that being said, there is hope, there is light at the end of the tunnel, but we just need to reflect inward, in my opinion, and we can only take accountability for our own actions, right? We can't change the world, but at least we can give an opinion that might change somebody's mind, to actually look at themselves. And that's my closing thought.
Right then.
What about you? Anything?
We literally just spoke about my closing statement. What do you mean?
Sorry. Right,
It was
cool.
10 minutes.
We'll wrap it up there then. So thanks to anybody who joined us, and have a good one. See you next time. Bye bye.